Now, global warming, there's news on that today. From the UK Express, meltdown myth, Antarctic ice growing, expanding is just the first evidence global warming is not real. Now, this story, we've talked about the Antarctic ice. Talked about it yesterday and the day before. And the point about it is, where are all the computer models the global warming people believe to predict it? The only reason we're even talking about global warming, well, the real only reason is it's because it's part of the left's agenda of expanding government worldwide, raising taxes worldwide. And a key ingredient of this is blaming average citizens for the problem. And make no mistake, that is actually important point number one about the entire global warming movement is that all of us are to blame. All of us are responsible. All of us are using more than our share of coal. All of us are using more than our share of gasoline. All of us are driving bigger cars than we should be. We're living in bigger homes than we should. It's all our fault. This is the key. And the reason it's our fault is that allows the statists to say, see, you people cannot be trusted to live your lives responsibly. You need us regulating the way you live in order to save our planet. And that's how they've set it up. And since there are a lot of people out there, low-information voter types, who really don't think their lives have much meaning, and they're seeking for meaningful lives, and they think, wow, how much more meaning can you have than to actually save the planet? So they eagerly sign on to this. They eagerly accept the blame because they're offered penance. Yep, you just support the Democrats, support bigger government, support higher taxes, agree to drive a bunch of little no-name cars that nobody really wants to drive. Just do all these things the government says, and you can be forgiven for the damage you have wrought on this planet. The fundamental element of liberalism is that every problem has been caused by us, not them, not the central planners, not the legislators, not the leaders. No, they're the saviors. You and I are the problems because we do not know how to live our lives responsibly. They say the evidence is abundant. We drive cars that are too big. We air condition our homes too chilly. We turn the heat up too much in the wintertime. We waste here and we waste there. We drink all these sugared soft drinks. We smoke all these cigarettes and all this horrible stuff. We don't know what we're doing. They've got to come in and regulate it all. That's the key element of every agenda item of liberalism. It's our fault. We can't be trusted. Number two is, the only reason there's global warming is because there's models that say there's going to be climate warming, change, whatever, 10 years, 30, 50, 100 years from now. Not next year, not next month. Now, all there is models. There is no evidence. Why didn't the models predict this expanding ice in Antarctica? But more than that, can I ask you the real zinger question? Let me ask you the real zinger question. I want you to really think about this. I first heard of global warming in 1979. It was actually called the New Ice Age. It was a cover story in Newsweek magazine. It was my first year working for the Kansas City Royals. But I was still a news guy paying attention. I never forget that cover. And then the next thing I knew, I'm in Sacramento. It's 1984, and I'm watching This Week with David Brinkley. And there's some guy, some scientist named Oppenheimer on. And he's talking about global warming, and we've only got 20 years. And he admits he can't prove it, but we don't have time to wait to see if he's right or wrong. We've got to move now. We have to start taking drastic action now to stop global warming in case we're right about it. And we've only got 20 years. That was 1984. 2004, we hadn't done anything to stop it, fix it. We should all have been suffering immensely because we didn't do anything. But then when the 20 years approached, it became 50 years and so forth. There's no real timeline for this where we can see evidence in our lives. But what has happened? Let's take they first start with freezing and the Ice Age. And that changes in 5 years to global warming. And since 1982, 84, they have been on this global warming kick. And they have been warning us of the dire consequences of the climate getting warmer. Greenhouse gases, CO2, the exponential increases in heat, all the disasters that are going to happen, all the hurricanes that are going to happen, and all the sea level rise and lack of ice for the zebras and for the polar bears and whoever else, the seals. You've heard it all. You know the drill. Global warming is going to be a disaster. Okay? Well, here we are in 2015, and we've had 18 consecutive years of no warming. We now have expanding ice in Antarctica. Why aren't these people happy? It isn't warming. Why aren't they out there trying to take credit for it? Why aren't they? I mean, they're basically dishonest people to begin with. Why aren't they out there trying to take credit for the policies they have demanded that governments implement for working? Why can't we haven't had any increase in temperature in 18 years? The ice flow in the Antarctic is expanding. Isn't that good? The opposite, the ice melting, that's bad. And yet, all this good news, the warming seemingly has been arrested. The ice in Antarctic is expanding. The sea levels are not rising. Why aren't they happy? Why aren't they beating their chests and saying, see, our policies have succeeded? Instead, they're mad. They're mad, and they're doubling down on the fact that it's really going to get warm, and the climate's really going to change, and it's going to become intolerable. It's going to become insufferable. Except that it hasn't and that it isn't. Why are they not happy when the warming has been arrested? The entire premise of the global warming movement is that we must stop it. Well, there hasn't been any for 18 years. You would think at least one of these scientists, at least one of these politicians, at least one of them around the world, one of them at the UN would be happy that the destruction and the damage and the pain and the suffering from global warming isn't going to happen as soon as they thought. But they're not happy. They're mad. Why are they mad? They're mad because they're being proven to be frauds, or at the very least, they're being proven as having made big mistakes. But whatever, we're not dealing with scientific opinion here. That's one thing that's for sure now. We're not dealing with neutral scientific opinion, because if we were, they would be happy that the warming isn't happening, and they would be trying to claim credit for it. Quick time out here, my friends. Much more straight ahead. Just getting warmed up here.